I'm Guillermo Delgado. I am the host of Saturday and Sunday Matinee here at KMFA. I'm also the manager of education and outreach. I've been listening to From the Top since I started working at KMFA, so it's great to have Peter Dugan here with us, a wonderfully rounded musician, educator, performer. I'll start by saying that I got to sneak into a bit of a rehearsal with one of the students who's going to be on From the Top, which we're recording here at KMFA Studios. And what a wonderful collaborator and coach you are. I was so impressed by that.
Thank you.
And it's just wonderful to see that. I've worked with students before, and it's so important to have someone that can really just be so down to earth with them and create those opportunities for learning.
Appreciate that.
My first question, do you feel most at home as a performer, a coach, and a host? And what has the evolution of that been kind of throughout your career?
I guess I'm most at home making music with others and collaborating. So first of all, I just want to also say thank you for having me here at KMFA and having From the Top. This space is amazing and we love you guys. As a host, I'm really trying to draw on my love of collaboration in the way I get to know these young musicians. So really encountering them as fellow humans and treating them as peer musicians. And that's the same approach that I take in rehearsal. Let's come together and discover this music and what it means for us as a duo, even if we just met this morning. So I love performing in all kinds of environments. I love to play as a soloist as well, but I do thrive on working with other musicians.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful view and philosophy on it, and that's right up there with whatever philosophy you want to go around, like just being a musician. I think that's the ultimate peak, and it's amazing to hear that.
It's about the music too, you know, and that drives everything I do. Whether I'm playing alone or with others, I'm totally being driven by the sound that's coming out of my instrument and the collective sound that I'm making with others, and just wanting that to be as rich as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have, a kind of a cheesy question, do you have a favorite instrument besides the one that you play? And does that change kind of based on how you are interacting or collaborating on it? Which one do you like to listen to the most? Which one do you like to be in an ensemble with the most? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I've played with so many instruments, and it's hard to choose. I think there's something that I adore about the clarinet, and if I could be great at another instrument for a day, my first choice would be singing.
Cool. Okay.
If I could have like a gorgeous operatic or kind of leader voice for a day, I would sell my soul to the devil for that one. But second is the clarinet. To be able to, it's an instrument that really speaks. I feel it can, when it's played well, it's just an extension of the human voice. But for collaborating, the violin is what I've played with the most. And I feel when I play with a violinist, the two instruments start to really become one. And I'm able to be very sensitive to, I think, like the overtones that the piano creates and how those interact with the overtones of the violin. And I love that.
It's a classic combo. I'm sure there's lots of reasons like behind that. And
well, I love the repertoire too. Yeah, the Brahms sonatas, the Beethoven sonatas.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned, I'm so excited to hear that you love the sound of the human voice. I could also be mistaking composers, but I think Mozart's favorite instrument, he mentioned something about clarinet and its similarities to the human voice. I think that was Mozart.
Could be
wrong, but it's cool to hear you say that.
I buy it, Guillermo. I believe
well, it's certainly
right.
There's something.
There is absolutely, and the viola too, which Mozart loved, and which we were just rehearsing a beautiful Brahms sonata with viola, which is also clarinet originally. That sonata. So there's a lot of.
It's in that mid-range frequency.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's like listening to your mother sing a lullaby.
Right, exactly. Well, if you want to do a voice lesson before you leave Austin, I mean, let's totally do it. My background's in opera. really wanted to ask you about Operation Superpower.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give a little bit of preface. A superhero opera for children. You've traveled to dozens of schools in the New York area performing for students, encouraging them to use their talents and superpowers for good, which also goes back to so much that I believe about encouraging people to use their gifts and their talents and their interests. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience using opera as a medium for storytelling or enrichment or education, and your experience with it? And do you think we can use that tool beyond students and to the general population? Is opera already doing that? How can it do it better?
Well, the program Operation Superpower is something I started with my friends in college.
Wow.
And it was 2 singers, a composer, and myself. So the composer wrote original music. The singers were, these baritones who happened to be very convincing when they put on their superhero costumes. And it blurred the lines between what's real and what's not. Even though it was a school show in the cafeteria of these schools, the kids at first encountered these singers as, oh, these are real superheroes, like the kind I see in movies or whatever, because they come out, hello there, children. But then the more they hear about what they believe in, then they start to realize, oh, they don't fly, they don't knock someone out with a punch, they sing. But there's incredible power when that sound comes out of them. Yeah. And it's a superpower. And then over the course of this hour, it's like we have all the kids kind of starting to think, oh, I have a superpower too. What is it? And we have this moment of reflection for them to kind of look inward and think about what they love and what they're great at and what they're passionate about. And then once they identify that, then it's like, okay, if that's your superpower, how are you going to use that to make this world a better place? And that's what drives me every time I meet someone on From the Top. It's like, you don't have to go be a star soloist somewhere, but appreciate your talent and then figure out how you can use that to give back.
That's a perfect segue. I always think about, a former music educator, I always think about the students on From the Top, how impactful that experience is to the ones who are going to study music, but also especially to the ones that are going to go do something else, study law, study medicine. What do you hope the impact of From the Top is to those students and also to audiences who hear that, as audience members that maybe have music in their lives but aren't musicians? There's so many connections there. What do you hope that impact is?
I'll answer sort of backwards. So first, with audiences, I hope the impact of From the Top on audiences, of course, is to put a smile on their face and brighten up their day. But more than that, for them to appreciate the hard work that goes into being a musician, to understand that it's not something that just because you're born with incredible talent, oh, it's easy, and then these kids work so hard, and they're all unique individuals, and to appreciate that, so that you don't look at all musicians like they're all cut from the same cloth. Yeah. They are to a certain extent, but they have their own stories. And also, I think audiences who listen to the program will appreciate the power of music and what it can do for a young person. We meet young people who say that music saved their lives. Again and again. People who moved from a different country or who went from state to state, didn't know anyone, and it was music that gave them a community, music that helped them express themselves, music that helped them find their voice and be able to feel like a sense of self. So that it's not about being a star soloist or even being a professional musician all the time. It's about recognizing and appreciating that music has an enormous impact on the mental health and the happiness of young people. As far as what our impact is for the kids who come on our show, I think it's about maybe giving them a little bit of a break from the cutthroat world that they're in day to day. When they come on the show, we're not here to judge them, critique them, tell them it's about being perfect. We're here to sort of validate them as individuals and validate them as musicians who have something important to say, both with their music and with their words. So this is a really important moment for a young musician when they realize, I'm not just a student, I'm not just a competitor, I'm an artist.
Yeah, yeah. What important and impactful work that you do for not only our art form, but also for the rest of the world. I know that these ripples make changes and impacts to so many people. So thank you so much for talking to us.
Guillermo, thank you.
It's amazing to have you.
Thank you for having me here.
Sir.
All right.
Yeah.